I mean, this is just amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. So, again, Children's Hospital, they have a program that they, are able to come into daycares and,
and it's not even daycares.
I mean, learning centers. I'm sorry.
It's not even learning centers. It's a workshop. So if parents weren't able to take, the opportunity to come to our event,
Wow.
they can sign up themselves and go to these workshops. They can do them online. So
Hello.
even just because, we offer it, they don't have to attend. They can attend themselves. So these are just workshops and stuff that they offer parents,
Okay.
just in general. But they understand the need of daycares of what we're going through,
Okay.
and the issues that they're having with discipline. That's the reason why they were so eager to come and speak to us.
Wow.
So that we can try to help these parents, because there's so many parents who are going through trauma.
Yeah.
Who are, going through breakup or going through something catastrophic in their life.
Right.
And I hate to say it, they're just providers.
Right.
They're not teaching them anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're just putting a roof over their head, clothes in their back, and food in their mouth. They're not teaching them anything.
And the child is suffering.
And the child is suffering. Because you're suffering.
Yeah.
So these workshops were just something that we're going to try to do quarterly. And again, parents can go online and they can take these workshops themselves. They can sign up. And I believe they do have an option where these people can come to them and help them as well.
So great. Good. I am so glad Children Healthcare have those programs for parents. I mean, I think that is wonderful. So we'll get that information to you guys, because that is amazing. You don't have to be in a daycare center provider area to be able to receive that. I guess you could just walk off the street, and when they're offering these workshops, you parents, you should go, because I think it could be helpful to anybody. So back to this daycare setting and just dealing with parents. How is it dealing with them when you're talking to them about, having troubles with, their child? How is it received? The constructive criticism. How is that received? What does that feedback look like? Give me some examples, whether it's, from the child or the problems you're having. Is it from the child or the parent? Is it both? Like, what does that look like? And how do you guys handle it?
To answer the first part, what does it look like when we're speaking to our parents? As I said earlier, they're defensive. Well, they don't do this at home.
Mm-hmm.
When we break down exactly what I said earlier, they don't know how to turn their personalities off. They are who they are at all times.
Okay.
Between the ages of, infancy all the way up to, maybe being 5, maybe 6, I would say.
Okay.
Definitely 5 and under. They don't know how to turn their personalities off. And when that is explained to them, then they're more receptive of receiving the information.
Okay.
And what we do is generally we'll try to have those conversations with parents face to face. That there is some issue, can we do this? Can we do that? Try this at home.
Okay.
And maybe after the third conversation, if we're not after the third conversation, we're not seeing any improvement, it starts to burn your staff out.
Okay.
So we will do something called an action plan meeting.
Okay.
And that meeting consists of what the issue is, the resolution, and then we'll give a time frame.
Okay.
And after that, we'll also explain in that action plan, after the time frame has come, what the resolution would be.
Okay.
And generally what I try to do is I've referred parents and children to psychiatrists.
Okay.
Parent meetings.
Okay.
I've done referrals for behavior.
Okay.
I've done everything. We will try to do everything we can to try to help our parents and our children before we have to remove them from our center. So by the time they leave our center, they can't say we didn't try to help them. And when it has ended with us having to no longer be their providers because the parent didn't do their part, we can only do so much. And if you are not working with us as far as that partnership and you're not doing your part that we're asking you to do, there's nothing we can do.
The parents' involvement is everything.
It's everything. On the other hand, I have parents where tell me what I need to do. I don't want my child to go anywhere else.
And I'm sure that's a beautiful story.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, listen, this is what we're doing. And it's been 50-50. We've had success stories where parents have
Mhm.
listened, they've done what they were supposed to,
Mhm.
and then we've had where parents didn't and they had to find other providers.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it fell on them. It
Mhm.
wasn't us because we did what we were supposed to do. To answer your other part, what are the things that we're seeing in our daycare? Just a lack of discipline where children are not listening. Nothing we say, they're not listening. But guess what? When they bring them in the door, they're not listening to their parent.
So you see where it comes from.
Exactly. We see tantrums uncontrollably. As soon as you tell them no, they're falling out. We're seeing children emotionally unstable.
Okay.
They cannot take when they cannot get their way. Because they're always giving their way. They know as soon as they cry, they scream, parents are giving them their way. We can't do that. They're crying about every little thing. As soon as they can't do something, they're crying. Okay. As soon as they, as I said, can't have their way, they're crying. When we speak with our parents and they understand the importance of why discipline is needed and why they need to correct these behaviors, some of them just don't know. They just don't know what they're doing.
They just don't know what to do. So do you have success stories when you have these children that come in that are having these tantrums and you're giving these corrective measures to the parents, and have you had a lot of successes or parents listen? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So is there something briefly that you can touch on? Parents coming in, child having tantrums, and mind you, it's nothing that the parent is purposely doing. They just don't know. So just a little example, what can a parent do at home for that child, or, to help correct these tantrums?
Easy. Primary example, a child has a toy, they're playing, it's time to clean up because it's time to get in the bath. They're screaming and crying because they don't want to stop playing. What do? Okay, fine, go ahead and keep playing. You allow them to keep playing until they're done playing, skip the bath, they fall out, go to sleep, boom, you're done. Absolutely not. You said it's time to stop playing. You said it's time to get ready for bath. It's exactly what you need. So give them a consequence. If you do not stop, you're going to go sit in your room. If they don't stop, put them in their room. If you don't stop, you're not getting ice cream. Okay. It's exactly what it is. You don't stop, you're not getting ice cream. Okay. You don't stop, I'm going to whoop your butt. They don't stop, you whip their butt. You follow through with what that consequence is that you're telling them to do. If you tell them to stop throwing the ball in the house and they're still throwing the ball in the house, you take the ball from them. Now they're screaming and crying because they want the ball. What you tell them is, if you don't stop throwing that ball, I'm gonna take the ball.
And so you have to take the ball. You can't just continue to let them play with this ball.
So when they're screaming and crying, they have the right to be upset. But you're gonna go over there and stand on that wall and scream and cry. And when you're done, you come back over here. Yeah. And that's what we do at our center.
Follow through.
We follow through. You can fall out all you want, but we told you to stop. So you're going to sit over here, and when you're done, then you can join us. And that's exactly what they do. When they're done, they join us. The ones that we're consistently working with them and their parents. Yeah. We can get that far. But that's pretty much, those are the three things that we're pretty much seeing in our center. It's just the lack of listening, the lack of structure. And the being emotionally unstable.
I have a talk that I'm going to put out later on about structure in the household. Oh my God, that's so important that you mentioned that, because structure in the household is just so important. But we'll talk about that later. But so it sounds like you have an amazing daycare, and how it's structured is amazing. It sounds like there's a lot of learning going on there. There's a lot of structure and there's a lot of discipline. So how is that being received from these parents that are coming from this outside world that are maybe confused about what discipline look like?
Well, now we have a whole entire enrollment process.
Okay.
Because we're having so many issues with that.
Okay.
So we'll do a trial.
Okay.
Either from a 2-day trial to a 2-week trial.
Okay.
It just really depends on the child's behavior.
Okay.
And we can really tell, and we always meet the child before we enroll.
Okay.
So we can really pretty much get a good judge of character of who that child is.
They ain't in it for the money.
Yeah, we're really not. My staff And myself and my mother were really passionate about this.
I love
Our goal is to get them ready for mainstream schools.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they leave us, they are on track of where they need to be for kindergarten. But we can pretty much get a good judgment of character of who that child is, and we'll determine what the length of the trial will be based upon enrollment. And the biggest thing that we tell our parents is that you cannot not have structure at home and then put them in a structured environment. Our center is
that. Wait, say that again.
You cannot not have structure at home and then put your child in a structured environment.
That's serious. Like that in itself, just those words, you cannot not have structure at home and then want to put them in a structured environment. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Our center is a learning center. So from our infants all the way up to our preschoolers, they are learning something in each class. It's a structured environment. We have curriculum that we are set that we have to do. And a lot of our parents, especially our toddlers, when I say toddlers, that's 2 to 4 years old. Or even, I would say 2 to 3 years old, or 1 to 3 years old. You are allowing them to do whatever they want. They don't have a routine, there's no structure, but we're a structured environment. From every week, there's a daily checklist of things that we have to do that's hanging up on all of our walls in our room so our parents can see. We have a curriculum, a lesson plan that's hanging up so that our parents can see what we're doing. If you're not structured at home, it's a culture shock when they come in. Because they're wanting to do what they want. They see toys. They want to just play. But that's not what we do all day. We do play, but we're learning as well.
As we go.
We're sitting down. We're doing activities. We're checking off those things for our kindergarten readiness checklist that they have to know in order for them to get into kindergarten. Because, not for sure parents know, there's a whole test children have to do to get into kindergarten.
Really?
So those are the things that we're preparing them for when they're in our program.
Wow.
So that's a big thing that we tell our parents. You got to be structured at home.
Wow.
In order for them to be structured in a structured environment.
So it sounds like parents, first of all, you need to decide, do you want them to be in a daycare or a learning center? Because they're two different things. A daycare is a daycare where they just gonna watch your kids, or do you want them to learn? Because it's two different things, because when you have a disruptive child and they're disruptive, you're stopping the learning process.
Absolutely.
That's number one. So know where you're putting your child. That you have to know where you're putting your child and know what your child is ready for. And if you want your child in a certain environment, you're going to have to do that work to either get them prepared for it, or in the process help prepare them for it, along with the suggestions that they're giving you to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? Or help them, get prepared for wherever they're going. Correct. So can you tell us some more of the experiences that you're having with the parents of the children at the Learning Center?
Yeah. Well, oftentimes when there has been issues, we have parents who want to discipline the staff and not discipline the children.
That's deep right there, because I think a lot of places are experiencing that. Not looking at their child, but they want to go directly to the staff.
Absolutely. They want to discipline the staff. And that just comes, oftentimes we have to explain to our parents, we're a partnership. We're on your side. We're here to help you. But you got to help us as well. And if you don't help us, these are what the consequences are going to be. Not just with us, but just later on in life. And generally, when you have that soft talk with them, I would say parents are more willing to be receptive and understanding and really willing to work with you. But sometimes they're not. I recently had a case, very recent, where we had a young lady who was 3 years old, very smart young lady. But she was extremely defiant. She would not listen to anything any of the staff said. Wow. And it was becoming an issue where it was disrupting the classroom. It was becoming an issue where it was hindering her learning. So the teacher asked me to speak with the parents. So we had a meeting. Mom's in there running off everything. She does this, doesn't she? She does this, doesn't she? She even gave an example.
Mom knows.
Mom knows. How there's a line that separated, from the kitchen to the living room. And she told her don't come in the kitchen because she was cooking. So the little girl took her toy and set it right on the line.
Oh, she's a smart one.
And so she went and crossed over, but she was testing her mom. And I said, yeah, that's a lot of what she does here.
Okay.
Dad was quiet, didn't say much. Mom explained that she works and she's not in the house much, but Dad is the disciplinarian. Dad's in the house. So, we just asked, well, what were some of the things you do at home that we can do here? Because we've exhausted all of our disciplinary methods. So after just going back and forth talking, we all came up with, a game plan.
Okay.
A week later, Dad came and decided to unenroll their daughter.
Wow.
And his excuse was of the issues we've been having. And it kind of baffled me because I'm just like, what are you teaching your daughter?
Right.
You're teaching her she doesn't, one, have to respect authority.
Right. Because you guys came up with a game plan and everything to help this child. Everybody was agreeing.
Two, the issue, again, is now the parents. Because instead of you trying to work with a provider to try to help your child, because you hear in the news all the time how these providers are abusing children.
Right.
How they're mistreating children.
Right.
Did you ever have a provider coming to you asking you, hey, listen, what can we do to help your daughter? We adore her, but her behavior is out of control. So instead of you working with us, you get offended and you take her out. So you're teaching her, well, guess what? Every time I do something wrong or I don't have to listen to authority, Mom and Dad's gonna always save me and be to my rescue. You're not teaching her anything. You're teaching her to not respect authority. You're teaching her not to be disciplined. You're teaching her she doesn't have to have boundaries.
Yeah.
You're teaching her that she doesn't have to, respect authority.
Right.
So, the parents are the issue.
Wow. From what I'm hearing, parents are the issue. Parents, we have to get it together for our kids because I believe we as parents are creating a lot of the issues that our kids are having, especially from the now until they're growing up, and we're creating and we're breeding these things that are coming out in their teenage years that we're now so frustrated with that we could have helped back then if we're listening to these providers like Kelly. If we listen to them and take heed to the things that they're saying that they may be offering to you, I don't know. It sounds like she has an amazing staff, amazing program. I think y'all should get like her if you guys are some providers out there like hers, but get like them. Because you guys sound like you guys have an amazing curriculum, amazing staff, just amazing things going on, and your passion for your kids is remarkable and it's admirable at the same time. So I commend you and your mom just for the works that you guys do, and just because you sound like you guys want to help.
We do. We do. Overall, we do. Yes. Overall, we want to help because we see where the breakdown of the home is a big impact of raising children. How life trauma is an impact on how we're raising children. Yes. But one thing that you said that resonated in my mind that I wanted to touch on, where you said fast forward when they get older, you're wishing you didn't. Well, fast forward with this man and the 3-year-old little girl, 10, 15 years from now, you're going to wish you had listened. Yeah. I was speaking with a father not too long ago, and he was complaining about his daughter and how she's just so disrespectful and she's so rude, and they can't get her to do anything. And when I started asking about her upbringing and how Mom raised her, and when I touched on it, I can guarantee you, Mom gave her everything she wanted. Yep. Mom never enforced discipline. Mom never made her listen. She gave tantrums. She fell out. She cussed. She screamed. Mom gave her everything she wanted. There was no consequences for her behavior. He said, you're absolutely right. I said, so now she's grown. I said, and Mom took care, paid for everything. Yep. Everything she wanted, she got. She was completely spoiled. Wow. I said, fast forward now, Mom didn't teach her her responsibilities. Yeah. Fast forward now, she's still having those tantrums at 20 plus years old.
Wow.
And mom wants her to be an adult. Well, you can't be mad at this young lady because she was never taught. She was always taught to have a tantrum, to fall out, and I want to get my way. Mom never taught her responsibilities because mom did everything for her.
Yep.
Now mom wants her to be an adult, but you never taught her to be an adult.
Never taught her.
You never taught her how to act.
Yes.
You never gave her consequences.
Yes.
You never disciplined
Yes.
her. So now she's in her 20s and you're angry with her. You're
Yes.
frustrated with her.
Yes.
But you never taught her that. That's not fair to this young lady.
It's not fair. That's one thing I like to stress. It is not fair to these kids that you're expecting them to be some way that you never raised them. You never taught them to be. You never taught them to be. You did not give them the tools to be a certain way. We parents are human engineers. We get to trinkle and tinkle with them to create these adults that they become. We are instrumental into their lives. So we get to kind of, we don't, what do I want to say? We're not Frankenstein. We're not we don't get to toy with everything, but we are so instrumental in their upbringing and who they can become. Because of course they grow up and we don't get to, we can hope for the best. But I can guarantee you if we put our best foot forward, that they will come out to be something amazing. Amazing. But we got to put that work.
Yeah. It's sacrifice. That's what I said earlier.
Sacrifice.
The sacrifice.
The work, the sacrifice. But it starts at this level here. So I just hope you guys adhere to some of the things that she's saying, some of the examples that she has given, because it's so important. It's so vital to society, because she is the start of society at some point, because the kids that she is caring for is going to be thrown in society at some point. So the parents that she's dealing with, they going to be crying if they're not listening right now, talking about Johnny and Susie is doing X, Y, and Z, but they didn't listen at some point. And I'm sure one day some of the kids and parents that did listen are going to thank you. Yeah. I'm so glad Miss Kelly gave me this advice back then, because boy, I would have been dealing with X, Y, and Z, and then, the vice versa. So I'm just so glad they have daycare providers like you, and I just wish that you guys can sprinkle that over into other, daycare centers. And I just don't know. Is there anything else before we go that you would like to, add? Any advice that you could give any other parents or daycare providers out there before we end this?
Yes, first the parents, we need to get back to it takes a village to raise children, and stop saying, and I'm speaking from experience, this is my child. Mm-hmm. I know what's best for my child, mm-hmm. or you not wanting anyone to say anything to your child. Mm-hmm. We have got to get back to the village, mm-hmm. all having an impact on our children. Yes. Because again, as parents, we often look at our children out of the eyes of love, but others can look at our child out of the eyes of the world. Yes. And they can see those things that we can't see. Yes. As parents. Yes. I think that's number one. I also think with providers, you have to have a passion for it when you're working with children. Yeah, the money is good, but when you're only thinking about just the money, because mm-hmm. I often hear, this center will allow these type of children in. Well, mm-hmm. they're only looking at dollar signs. Yes. Well, how are you helping that child? Yes. The love has to be there. The passion has to be there. Mm-hmm. In order for you to have a successful daycare, you mm-hmm. have to really want to help those children. Not just learning, but just in behavior. Because oftentimes we deal with behavior before we can help with the learning. Mm-hmm. So if we can have all those things, I think we would have a better success rate in children. They got to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And what we keep stressing and saying, it has to start at home. Love supersedes so many things. So if we can even start with love, go home. Everybody go home and love on your kid, and they'll go out in return and spread that out into the world. And then, like we said, discipline starts at home. Mm-hmm. So we got to start there. So
I do. I would love to thank you for coming and being a part of my show. And you gotta promise me you coming back because we have to dish some more of this daycare tea, honey. Yes. Kelly is gonna be back to talk and give you guys more advice about what we are dealing with. I don't know, it might be an epidemic about what's going on in these daycares with you parents, because she gonna get y'all together. We gonna get y'all together, okay?
Epidemic,
Yes, we gonna get y'all together, okay? So I end every show with, it takes a village. There is no book to this thing called parenting. So I want you guys to join me for more. Come be a part of my village. There's no book. So come do it with me, all right? You guys take care. See you guys next time on Mama Said. Bye.